All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back. Rich Eisen Show basketball podcast. It's Wednesday, and it's playoff time. Well, technically, it's the play-in. It's not really the playoffs. These games actually don't count for anything in the standings or stats or whatever. But we're here. It's happening. What's up, guys? TJ, Adam, what's up, fellas?
Great to be here. NBA playoffs about to start. Big things happening. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm excited. TJ, how did you feel last night? I know your team took the L, but...
Basketball is my favorite sport. I love the way they dribble up and down the court. I was not very happy with that Clips game last night, but it was a good game. Now,
let's just get right into it. We'll start with them because... I mean, the Clippers blew it again. I mean, it's just kind of what you guys do in the playoffs.
I mean, you can't say blew it again. Like,
here's
the deal. Like,
you got outscored 36-11 to end the game.
Granted, but as I've told you this whole podcast, the fact that the Clippers are even in contention to make the playoffs is just a testament to how great of a coach Ty Lue is. Like, this team playing the entire season without their best player, playing 3/4 of the season without their second best player. I mean, I'm just amazed that we even are in this position right now. And you went on the road to take on a Timberwolves team. And as I was telling you yesterday, man, Pat Beverly, it's the Pat Beverly influence. I mean, I know how you feel about him, but I'm telling you, as someone who like had him on his team for a while, you need menaces like Pat Beverly on your team. And the energy that he brought to that T-Wolves team was pretty apparent yesterday. I mean, the things he does don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet, but what he brings on that court, just that little extra effort that drives people crazy.
Yeah.
Also, when he's on your squad, man, that helps get you to that next.
Yeah,
next level.
I totally understand that. You know, it's a vibe, it's a culture thing. I know that's a Miami word, but it's just the energy. I understand what he brings. I don't care for it. You know, I guess, like you said, he's kind of the classic. You love him if he's on your team.
Yeah.
You hate him if you're playing against him.
And then, before the show, I went down and just gave you a list of guys who, all the guys I said more talented overall than Pat Beverly, but the same mindset. Like, if Kevin Garnett was 6'2", he'd have been Pat Beverly, So you need guys like that on your team. And look, it's going to be an interesting matchup with them and the Grizzlies. So.
Yeah, and it's a lot of heart that the T-Wolves showed last night, Adam, and kind of coming back in that game and really taking control. And I guess we're really seeing how big of a superstar Anthony Edwards is.
Yeah, he's growing up before our eyes. I thought the game was over. I thought the Clippers had it in the bag. Mm-hmm. And Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, they stepped up big time. This team has a bright future ahead of them, despite the fact that Cat played awful last night. Yeah. Cat had a horrible game. He's their best player right now. They need him against Memphis if they have a chance. But the fact that he played so bad and they still were able to win shows that they have a bright future ahead of them. And I'm excited for that series. It's going to be very, very fun to watch Pat Bev guard Ja Morant for 6-7 games. He will do everything to get in his head. Ja's never had to play somebody like this in the playoffs. This is Ja's first time in the playoffs. So welcome to the playoffs, buddy. Here's Patrick Beverly.
Yeah, let's bring in our special guest this week. You may have heard of him, Rich Eisen of The Rich Eisen Show, Emmy-nominated Rich Eisen Show, Emmy-nominated for Best Studio Host this year. Rich, welcome to the program.
I appreciate you welcoming me to the podcast, Chris, and it was very nice of you to introduce me as you did, but you left something out of the introduction that I think is very germane, certainly to this podcast and the conversation and those who are conducting this podcast. Rich Eisen Show, NBA Fantasy Basketball League champion, the winner. I won it this year, and
didn't think about.
I appreciate you having me on to talk about it.
Well, I was having you on to talk about the play-ins.
No, I'm more than happy to talk basketball with you guys since I'm clearly an expert on the subject.
Yeah. So how do you break down that game last night? Then
what do you mean? How do I break down the game last night?
Yeah.
Well, I think
your expertise here.
Here's my expertise.
I know you love the celebration. I know you were about that.
No. I don't have to talk about the celebration. I just need to know. The Timberwolves scored more points than the Clippers.
Well, yeah, at
the end of the day, the Cavaliers didn't have as many points as the Nets.
Right.
Also a fact.
And so, these are the things, but you definitely need to know a little bit about the nuance of the sport. And
that the team with the most points wins?
Yes. And no, in all seriousness, the fact that I won this league.
Oh my God! This hasn't stopped.
No. The fact that I won this league with the team name of "Don't Trade for Giannis,"
I didn't know
which
that.
is absolutely the worst take I've ever fashioned in the history.
That is the first true thing you said
of my taking of any subject at all.
I agree with that.
The fact that I thought that the Miami Heat, fresh off of their bubble runner-up championship, should not at all break up their team for Giannis. And then he rips off an MVP season and then a championship season in the 2 seasons after. It's tough for me. It's tough for me to take. It's tough for me to sleep and look at myself and be able to have the confidence to have basketball takes after that. So to name my team that, and then to beat all 3 of you, including Adam Chudwin, who's grinning at me right now, and
you let him. Adam, this is all
No,
your fault.
we need to talk about this.
But this is your fault.
You can blame it on Rudy Gobert all you want. The fact that Rudy Gobert did not play in the final game of the regular season
And you didn't
definitely.
pick anybody up.
I needed like 13
But you
rebounds.
didn't pick
to win
anybody up.
because they announced the injury the day of. There was no chance because of your rules, Chris.
No, it's not his
Not
rules.
my rules.
It's me wanting to have it on an ESPN
ESPN,
system,
yeah.
and then him
Okay,
not
then your
having
rules,
the ability
Rich.
to find within the app the ability to click on the button that you're allowed to pick up anybody at any time.
Well, Rich, listen to this. You guilt tripped me like a Jewish mom.
Oh, jeez.
This happened.
What'd I do?
Because I was trying to win at all costs against you. Because you have to advance to survive. So I was doing whatever it took. I dropped some players.
You did. You dropped as many players as you
But
possibly could.
then that day, that Sunday, you guilt tripped me
What'd I
into.
do?
You said, "Can I repeat this on the air?"
Whatever you want.
Oh, goodness.
Is it a
Because
curse?
you've been, Rich, you have been a giant hypocrite this week with how you've been acting, because you texted me this, and
What
I
did I
quote,
text
you said, "If you catch fire, you win," and then get curd stomped by Brockman.
Right.
So when he's a total asshole, it's your fault.
That's right.
But at least you beat me.
Right. What's wrong with that?
Because you've been nonstop.
You've been the
face about
a-hole
it.
all week.
I don't know what you think about what I wrote is wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. You'd be a total, absolute, difficult person to deal with if he had won this championship.
I don't know why. Why would you say that?
Because you have a different way about yourself than I do.
But do I brag about anything in here? Exactly.
Well, here's the thing. What was wrong with what I said? How am I a hypocrite? How am I a
Because-
hypocrite? If you
because
catch
you
fire, you would
assumed-
win. If you catch fire, you would win. You ditched all of your players who were actually decent, with the exception of 2. You kept a couple of guys, but you would not have won the championship round at all with whoever you had left.
I easily
As a matter of
could have.
fact,
I picked up Holiday.
I snagged Hero from you. And the
Yeah,
fact
that was ridiculous.
The fact
What
that
are you
I was able to beat you guys with a team that's called "Don't Trade for Giannis."
Well, you have a really good team.
Utilizing one of the players who I said I wouldn't trade for Giannis.
That's fair.
And Hero. It's just what we call a chef's kiss. And I beat TJ Jefferson, who traded me Lonzo Ball last year when I thought it was LaMelo Ball.
You asked for
That was
El
the
Ball. I gave you El Ball. What do you want?
And then I take down Brockman. But really, guys,
All right.
as I celebrate this victory on this podcast with you guys,
That's not why we were
and
having.
I'm using this as a ring ceremony, okay? Because I don't think we're going to have a ring ceremony. I don't think we're going to be able to get all the guys together. I don't think we're going to be. And the fact I used a bull too. I have Vucevic.
You know his name?
Vucevic.
You know his name?
I know his name. I just don't know. I don't know where the accent comes
Didn't
on.
you have Marcus Smart too at one point?
I benched him after a while, but I got Time Lord, who was a double machine, and and I drafted Fred VanVleet, and I was cursing Chris Middleton all year long. I won with him. I made a trade. I made a trade for Miles Bridges. Traded Cade Cunningham and Evan Fournier for Miles Bridges, a trade I used to beat Adam with, because we made that trade together. It's fine. I thought it was a fair trade. Made that turnaround, picked up Jordan Poole, and all you guys were sleeping. Drew Eubanks, who got me through the last 3 weeks. And I made this all with Damian Lillard hardly being available to me. Miles Turner wound up being as we all know, a tank job, sit down for much of the season for Indianapolis and Indiana. I mean, so look, guys, the reason why I'm on is not just to tell you that there is no ring ceremony. This is the ring ceremony. This is the champion raising a banner right here. But also to remind you that my preseason pick of Warriors versus Nets
Still alive.
is still very much alive. Yeah. What was your pick? What was your preseason pick? Did you have the Lakers in there? Who'd you have?
Goodness. No, I think I had the Nets and Suns. Actually.
The Nets and Suns. Well, that's not a bad one. You took the Suns going into the season?
Hold on. Let me just go back and check. Let me see what I
don't
can
know
find
about
out.
that. Somebody took the
honestly
Lakers.
don't even remember who
Who'd you take? You guys don't remember, huh?
Here's one thing. I don't remember that.
Who was your preseason pick?
But one thing I do remember from this season that you did get a ring and you were a crown champion is in the one matchup that Don't Trade for Giannis had against Dr. J. Zaffro. I won 8-3. So I just want to point that out. So when we actually met, I got
you got me in my dark COVID days.
So I did have Nets over Suns in the finals.
That's not a bad one.
Let's see.
You're still very much alive there. Who'd you have, TJ?
I have no idea. I don't even remember.
How do you not remember these
I had the Nets. I don't remember who I had coming out of the West.
Because I said about 4 different things. So
TJ has Bucks over the Lakers. This is from October 19th.
Yeah, October 19th, the Lakers were still in contention.
No, I think he was talking about episode 9 of Winning Time.
Yeah, that might have been.
He didn't know that was coming up. Bucks and Lakers.
Looking for riches. Oh, you had Embiid as MVP, TJ.
Of course I did.
So nice work there.
Do you think he's going to win? Even Durant gave him his check mark.
I mean, look, it's
I don't know.
Three people are all very worthy, and it's going to come down to one of those.
I know. Windhorse said that when he was on a couple weeks ago that there's a poll that he knows somebody does that's as accurate as it gets, and it's Jokic.
That would be a little surprising considering that
that's going to be Jokic again.
Well, he was a big betting favorite. I think he was minus 400 kind of at the season end.
At the season end there?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean, considering his team won, I mean, they're 45.
What do you think?
48,
Warriors
34.
over Nets or Nets over Suns? What's more likely?
Nets over Suns, more likely. I don't think the Warriors are going to have it. I think that Clay hasn't been as great as everyone kind of hoped and thought as he would be coming back from injury. I know he had a 40-point game the other night, but it's been
That's it, buddy.
kind of been an aberration.
This is what I'm saying.
I think Poole can step up, though, and take his place.
But also, is Steph healthy? I think that's really the only factor that's that really plays into it. Is he back to 100%? Is the ankle healed? And can he do it?
Yes.
And if he's at any point, if he's 75%, they're going to lose. They're going to lose in the first round. And it's not going to go well.
I don't know about that. Really? You think so?
First round
of the Nuggets? You think they're out against the Nuggets? I think they at least advance against the Nuggets.
I don't know, man. Who's going to guard the Joker?
I don't know. Well, who else is going to score other than the Joker? Does it matter?
Doesn't matter. They put up 140. They've got a bunch of guys who can score no matter,
Hey,
fill it up.
Let me just put it this way. I think when it starts, and it's happening this weekend, right? When it starts, and I think Curry will be out there.
I'm sure he will, but will he be 100%?
You know what? I think it'll still be enough to see Curry and Green and Clay on a court in the playoffs together. At some point, somebody is going to have to beat that trio. And that we're discounting just whatever those three get to feed off of one another. And then my guy Jordan Poole, who as you know can fill it up, and he gets to the line, and he's, if I'm not mistaken, the second best free throw shooter in the league behind Curry. These guys make their free throws. They're going to be tough. They're going to be tough to beat. And I should know because I've been following Jordan Poole forever from his buzzer beater shot against Houston in the second round of the NCAA tournament, all the way through to me realizing you guys didn't pick him up in the first week of the season, and I grabbed him and used him to win the Rich Eisen Show Fantasy Basketball League. And,
oh my God, this isn't going to stop.
No, it won't.
Hey, Rich, thanks for joining us. That was
Am
fun.
I done
That was
now?
a fun
Are we done?
period.
I haven't done giving you my pearls of wisdom about
Wow.
a sport that I clearly know more about than you guys.
I mean, let's just treat our guests with some respect, I suppose.
Even though I'm wiping my feet on the mat right here.
We just gave him
Wipe your feet
14 minutes to kind of just go on and on about. We're done talking fantasy, right? Is it over?
What's it?
Speaking
Oh,
about
the fantasy season is over, yes.
Okay, great. So we don't have to talk about it anymore.
No, I mean, well, if we had the rights to a Queen song right now, we'd be playing it.
We are the champions, my friend.
Don't sleep on the Warriors, gents.
Okay, you think don't sleep on the Warriors?
I
Better
see.
better chance of advancing out of the first round, Warriors or Grizzlies?
Warriors.
Guys? Warriors or Grizzlies?
Don't
better
sleep on the
chance.
Timberwolves.
Warriors by far. I think I actually really believe that the Timberwolves will take them to 7 games and win. I think the Timberwolves.
You think the Timberwolves are going to win, huh?
Yeah, I think they're going to beat the Grizzlies. I'm not high on the Grizzlies.
Yeah,
I just
Adam
think
has-
that they don't
yeah.
have any experience. I mean, the Timberwolves don't have that much experience either, but they have the leader in Patrick Beverley. I just don't really see it for the Grizzlies this year. So I think that the Timberwolves will beat them. Yeah.
Wow.
I disagree with that one.
I think the Timberwolves, I think Memphis moves on, but I just said Warriors just to back my play a little bit here. And I do believe, again, when Steph gets out there, him and Green and Clay, and it's just at some point someone's just going to have to beat them in the playoffs. I think it's going to be very tough to do. I'm just more annoying celebration. Timberwolves playing game, me with the fantasy. More annoying celebration.
It's you because fantasy is 90+% luck. And you got the most lucky this year.
Luck.
You got the most. I had 4 guys out for the last couple weeks.
Dude,
I win if Rudy Gobert doesn't
That's
sit
what
the
I
last
mean.
game.
So it's like it's all lucky.
It's not lucky. It's not lucky.
not lucky,
It
okay.
can't be lucky if you have enough people on your bench to go and beat somebody. And that's what I do all the time.
Great.
Well,
But the
then
East,
bad luck is
what do
the
you guys
thing.
think about the East?
No, I just one more point on the West real quick. I feel like
Yeah.
the West is kind of most primed for some like weird stuff to happen, right? Like Luka's freak injury in the last game of the season. Now he's a huge question mark for this series. I think that Utah is actually favored now to win the series. Weird stuff could happen there. Denver's going to have Jokic in the MVP, and they could upset Golden State. And Adam, you think Minnesota could upset Memphis? So I think the West is kind of most primed for some weird stuff to happen, where I think the East might just kind of mostly go chalk in the first round, and we could have the top 4 teams kind of all advance. That's just kind of how I'm.
Chalk means Celtics beat the Nets.
Yeah, well, they're favored, and I'm just saying, like, Miami's kind of been the 1 seed throughout the whole year. Milwaukee's the defending champs. They're arguably the best team in the conference, and Philly could have the MVP or the second best player in the league, and they're going to go up to Toronto and I think take care of business. So.
I can.
Getting back to this Nuggets Warriors matchup, Nuggets are 3-1 against Golden State this year. Draymond has missed all 4 games, and like you said, I'm just thinking about what you said because I wrote this down as a note. Like, Joker is just a matchup nightmare for that team, and
I know that.
So
I know that. The East, I see it a little differently.
Really?
So do I.
Oh, really?
I see the East as an opportunity to get more loose than the West.
Oh, interesting.
That's the way I'm going to go.
Do you want to just expound on that?
Of course, I'll expound on that. I have a feeling that and the mere fact that the 1 seed for the East was so up for grabs, anybody could win it. I think it's a lot more parity in the East than there is in the West. I know that what you said about the Bucks might be right, that they're the best team. They have the best player. With all due respect to Kevin Durant, who may be the best player, in the world or what have you, and
Embiid,
on his regular days.
Yeah, sure.
No, but I still think Giannis is a difference maker when it comes down to it. Yeah. But I would be really nervous if I'm your team, okay? Because your coach has never coached a minute in the in the playoffs, and I know Steve Nash doesn't have that much experience coaching either, but I don't know, man. Durant and Kyrie and Seth Curry if healthy, and I know there's a lot of if healthy.
Yeah, a lot of ifs. But I mean, look, with those 2 guys, though, if they score between 60 and 70 a game, where are you getting the other 50?
And I'm nervous for you, bud.
it's going to be a tough matchup.
Big time.
The Raptors, they're long.
They're long,
not as big as Embiid, but length creates issues.
Dude, they can fill it up too. Because again, trust me, I watched a ton of Raptors basketball this year, having drafted Fred VanVleet and another championship type pickup of Gary Trent Jr. in the first month of the season when you guys were sleeping on him, and I grabbed him and used him all the time to beat you guys.
You didn't beat me, though. Again,
no, it's all right.
Put that out there.
It doesn't matter. Just
you got stomped by me.
There's a banner. There's a ring ceremony happening right now on your podcast.
With an asterisk.
I'm nervous for you, and you can't. And Tyball's not vaxxed. He's not going to be able to go
that
up
was
there.
really
It's a huge
annoying.
loss.
Didn't
on now.
know that until the other day.
Yeah, but-
and it was just like
I don't think anybody really realized it
yeah.
until
So
a couple
I mean,
weeks ago.
that could have changed everything. The way the roster was set up. That was very and like I'm not one of these people who's gonna pound the table, go get vaxxed, do it. But like, man, if you know that's the case, this should have been accounted for.
The tweet that I saw that kind of summed it up is last year the Sixers lost in the playoffs because a guy wouldn't take a shot, and this year they might lose because a guy won't get one.
Yeah, I mean,
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I saw it. I forget who said that, but
it's a very
It's a
good.
huge loss for them not having a wing defender to guard Scotty Barnes.
Yeah. And Scotty
Van
Barnes,
Vliet.
low key, one of the best rookies this year.
Yeah, I know.
Scotty Barnes.
I know he was under the radar for
Yeah.
a lot. He was terrific, and then Siakam, look out.
Yeah, he's been a beast.
Okay, so they are really good. I would be real nervous.
Real
as the
nervous, yeah.
Sixers.
But I mean,
Adam, make your case because you don't think the East is going to go chalk like me either. Like, what upsets could you see it coming out of the East?
Yeah,
in
I
the
think
first
this.
round?
I think
Your
the
Bulls have got that's a tough one.
No,
They didn't
listen,
beat
yeah,
the
listen,
Bucks all
listen.
year, and
No,
I think
listen.
they're running out of gas.
No, I
and-
am a homer. I'm definitely a Chicago homer, but I'm the first to admit I don't think the Bulls have a chance in this series against the Bucks. I think
they
we'll
might not get a dub. They didn't get one against them all year.
No, not one win all year. I think we'll be lucky if we win one game. Without Lonzo Ball, we just don't have a chance. He was the key to the Bulls' upstart season to start the year. He pushes the pace. He's the best defender that the Bulls have, and without him, Drew Holiday is going to kill the Bulls. We have no person to stop Giannis, so I just don't think the Bulls have a chance in that. I'll be happy if we win one game. I think you guys, the Celtics, are going to lose. I really believe
you
that.
said this yesterday over text.
Yeah, I just think that Durant's the best player out of any of those two teams. You have Kyrie, who's been playing out of his mind. You have Ramadan Kyrie, who's just been dominating the last few games. And I think he probably does have a little chip on his shoulder to go against Boston. I really
Boston's
believe
got that too, though, brother.
they
Boston's
both do.
got
So that's
it
what
too.
makes it.
I mean, the
this makes
fans
this
are
fun.
going to boo him with the strength of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, but that'll make him
And
stronger. I
Game
think.
7 in Boston is a huge factor. The home court advantage, especially in the NBA, is unlike nothing else in the city of Boston when it comes to basketball. So I just think that will be a deciding. It's not going to get there.
Tatum over under averages 30 in the series.
He has to average over 30 for Boston to win the series.
You're not concerned about Robert Williams being out?
There's whispers that he might be back sooner than people think. So no, I'm not.
Don't sleep on the tenacity of Al Horford.
The tenacity of Al Horford.
That'd be write that down.
That's fantasy
Fantasy
name,
name?
or is that a
No,
band?
Meryl Streep was in that. And it was the original Bridges of Madison County. So the original name of Bridges of Madison County was the tenacity of Al Horford.
I just think, other than look, you saw it last night, right? Brooklyn has a really tough time closing out games. They should have won last night by 25.
Cleveland's a tough team, though.
It
Darius
was
Garland's
a
a baller.
5-point game at one point with a couple minutes to go. Other than Kyrie and Kevin Durant, who can fill it up? Like, if those guys score 65 a game, where's the other 50 coming from? Boston is one of the best defensive teams in the league, and they have their own big two duos. So
It's gonna be great.
and home court advantage. I think it's 5-6 game series.
All right, guys. Well, look, I appreciate you having me on here, and just giving you a heads up. Don't worry about it. This podcast will suffice as
Ring ceremony.
no. That's this pod. Don't you have to? That's not where I'm going.
Oh,
You don't have to.
well,
You
it
don't
sou-
know
it
everything that
sounded
I'm
like-
saying.
it
No,
sounded
no.
like- it
You have to-
sounded
you
like
have
this
to guess everywhere I'm saying. You don't know where I'm going with this one.
Rich, I spent a lot of time around.
I understand that. But I'm just saying that this
understand that.
podcast and your knowledge that you espouse on it with the Rich Eisen Show name on it will count just as my way of understanding that you are winners in your own right. And I want you to defend your resumes during next year's draft
But you do have my resume.
No. Like, you don't have to defend. Like, I won't look at you and say, are you winners or losers? You need to defend yourself in order to be on my
Like,
team.
inevitably, when you make me change to a different platform for the third consecutive year,
Chris,
like are we going to CBS next year?
You
or
do whatever you want
Fox,
because
do they have one.
Look, you could make fun of whatever high maintenance I may have about how I want my fantasy played and where it's going to be played. I'm just telling you, you come up with whatever you want, I'll just win it.
I mean, that is the annoying part about
I'll just win it. I'll just win it.
He complained all last year about it, right? And then got what he wanted, and he freaking won the league.
Oh,
man.
but then he immediately complained in the first week because we weren't doing it right because each week wasn't 1-0.
Yeah, I know.
It was the category and then whatever your
right.
record
And
in
I
the
was very
category
upset
was.
when I was down by 25, 30 games off the top rather than just 3 or 4 in the standings. Now they say an aggregate because I got hammered. My team got hammered by COVID. And Damian
so did
Lillard,
mine. I don't wanna hear it.
it took him 10 days. It took him 10 days before he was essentially not a regular, and then it took 2 months till he was done.
Well, at least
and
you
that
had
was
him.
my first overall pick, and I was able to overcome all of that and beat you with a team named after my worst take ever, using players who I actually love.
Really?
And actually were saying I love so much they shouldn't trade for Giannis. It was great. Guys, it really was
Well, Chris
perfect.
Middleton's on the line right now because he heard you say some things.
No, I just please. Did he have the season he was supposed to have coming off of the championship as the Robin to
Look,
to Giannis's
the
Batman?
whole season was just in preparation for this.
No, he still averaged like 20 points a game, didn't
Yeah,
he?
right. But for a guy who's number 2 on a team like that, should have been 25, 26, 27.
I mean, people
Should have been
average
like Gary
27
Trent Jr.
points a game.
Should have been like Fred VanVleet.
Very small list.
He was 20 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds. How could you complain about that?
He was really,
Booker, by the way, Devin Booker, who gets no love, averaged 25, 5, and 5. Every other player who's done that in NBA history has won MVP that season.
That's right.
Wow.
And he's going to be
Chris Middleton
fifth,
should have had
maybe,
that.
sixth.
Chris Middleton should have been 25, 5, and 5.
You say that like it's easy to get 25 points.
It certainly is when I expect it. And
Was that all it takes? Is you
All
expect
right, guys, playing games tonight. We got Charlotte and Atlanta, which should be a real fun shootout.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
gonna
one
be a
kind
shootout.
of like under the radar game.
Am I done? Am I
San
out?
Antonio and you can stay for the play-in.
Feel free.
We're
Why
going
don't you
to
stay?
talk winning
We're gonna
time
talk
too.
winning time,
I
too,
just
so-
wanted to hit on tonight's
No, it's
games
all right.
really quickly.
Guys, I've got.
You don't have another.
I've got things to do.
Like what?
I've got to get ready for next year's draft.
Oh my goodness.
Stop it. I'm over this bit, by the way.
Bit. It's not a bit.
I'm
It's
very-
facts.
It's been going on, what is it, Wednesday today?
It's Wednesday. It's been going on for 3 days.
Let's make it hump day the last day.
There
Here's
was,
the-
there was
here's the
2
Rich-
weeks of build-up, too, because you were
Guys, the
obviously
playoffs
going
are
to
just
beat
beginning.
me.
Playoffs are just
I'm a
beginning.
little different than these two. Like, go ahead and gloat because I know I'd be gloating had I won.
All right, guys. Have a great rest of your pod.
Hey, Rich, thanks for coming.
No, you don't
Thanks,
mean
Rich.
it. You don't mean
Thanks
it.
for- thanks
No, Adam meant it. You didn't.
I definitely don't mean it.
I'm kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
All right, TJ, Adam, welcome back as we retake control of our show.
Thank you to
Hornets.
the champ for
Hornets
being in
and
attendance.
Hornets.
Thank
No,
you.
I'm not clapping
You know
for
what I'm
Rich.
saying?
I'm not
Clap
doing
for
it.
Rich.
I'm not doing it. Hornets and Hawks tonight, Adam. What do you expect tonight?
It's going to be fun. You have 2 of the most fun players in the league in Trae Young and LaMelo Ball. I think the Hawks have the experience. So in there at home also. So I expect a Hawks victory, but I expect a lot of fireworks. Definitely taking the over as we talked about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Hawks will win that game, but I could easily see the Hornets winning. But yeah, I have the Hawks right now.
Yeah, TJ, what do you think? I mean, I'm pretty excited to see LaMelo Ball kind of on this stage for the first time.
Let me think here because I wrote this down real quick. Hawks Hornets, my first thing is I've said before, take the over in this game. I've said that multiple times. I think this is going to be a very high scoring matchup.
Yeah.
And, the Hawks, neither one of these teams this season have played great defense.
Right.
But, you look back, I'm going to give the Hawks the advantage because of the run that they had last season where they did play good defense and they've got that experience. They kind of, know what it's like to be there. And, the Hawks were maybe, they didn't win last year, but they were definitely one of the highlight teams of the playoffs last season. So I think they're going to take that experience and, into this game. And I think they should be able to take out the Hornets.
Yeah, 2 of the highest scoring teams in the league. I mean, Milwaukee led the East with 115.5 per game, but Hornets right there, 115.3, Hawks 113.9. So I also think kind of a fun, up and down, explosive game, like just bunch of YouTube, Twitter highlights I think will come out of tonight's game. But about Atlanta real quick, like after their run last year to the Eastern Conference Finals, they had a really disappointing season for the most part. Only 43 wins. I think people expected a lot more out of them, expected them to be in the top 6 and not have to worry about a play-in and a possible one-and-done situation, which they're in now in the 9-10 matchup. But low-key, Trae Young has had a first-team All-NBA type season, and he's really, really putting it together as one of the best all-around guards in the league.
Yeah, I think he led the league in total points and total assists this year, which he did the same in college, which is a stat that's unreal to think about, because it's like he didn't win the scoring title, but to have the most amount of points out of anybody is really incredible.
Yeah,
he's a total superstar.
28.4 points per game. And 9.7 assists. He was incredible this season.
Yeah, incredible. He's durable. That trade with Luka, I still think that Dallas got the best of that, but Atlanta still ended up with a superstar number 1 guy who can eventually be the number 1 guy in a championship team. So yeah, he's had a great year. He's still super young. I think John Collins is out again tonight, which is a huge loss for them, especially with the pick and roll that they like to do with him. So yeah, they've had a disappointing season. They made the Eastern Conference Finals last year, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And so so they've had a disappointing season. I think they win tonight and end up losing in the first round and then retool next year. So,
yeah, I think that's fair, TJ. Charlotte is one of those teams. Kind of don't know which team is going to show up. They're one of those teams like they'll score 138 one game and then throw up 97 the next, and you're like, that's weird. But they are young, they are exciting. Miles Bridges is awesome, and Terry Rozier can fill it up, and of course LaMelo Ball. But let's talk about the other game tonight, the one that's kind of flying under the radar. Non-sexy, I guess, is a way to describe this game. Spurs and Pelicans. You looking forward to this, or can we just kind of move on?
Personally, look, it's the game that doesn't seem to be that sexy. So something in the back of my mind's telling me, watch, this might be the game of the whole play-in, right?
CJ has 48 or something tonight.
So, look, you have the Spurs, and they're still coached by Greg Popovich, so they're going to be ready tonight. And I think I'm going to go with the Pels, though, believe it or not. I think
you like the Pels tonight?
I don't know that I like them, but I think that I think getting C.J. McCollum really helped them, especially in lieu of not having Zion all year. I don't know, man. I just got a feeling that they might pull this out tonight and move on to the
I don't think I could tell you
playoffs.
more than 3 people on the Spurs, Adam. DeJounte Murray.
Yeah,
they have Vassell, and then
Podol.
And then who else? Oh, they have Podol.
Jakob Podol.
Okay.
You have Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott. No. Yeah, these teams.
Well,
this is the least sexy matchup by far.
They've got Johnny Moore at the point. They've got George Gervin at the
Going way
three.
back.
By the way, you guys heard of Johnny Moore before, right?
No, I've never
Well,
heard of Johnny
I
Moore.
have, because he has that card from the '86 Fleer series that's worth a ton of money.
Oh wait, really? Why?
Yeah, so Johnny Moore has a card, and apparently it was incredibly rare for it to be a Gem Mint 10. Apparently it's most of them are off center, pretty much all of them.
Interesting.
So if you get a Gem Mint Johnny Moore, it's worth I think $40,000 or $50,000. Yeah,
I knew about the card. I didn't realize it was that much.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
When
Johnny Moore played point guard for the Spurs late 70s, early 80s. Actually led the league in assists one year when Magic was in his run. And more impressive than that, he is guess where he went to high school?
Did you go to your high school?
He went to Altoona High School.
Amazing.
And
Wow.
his mother is my godmother.
Hey,
So Johnny Moore is my godbrother.
How about
believe
that?
It or not. Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yep.
Man, that's really cool.
yeah, because when Drake was pulling 86, 87
they
Flair
were
with
looking
Ken
for
Golden,
that
they were
one,
looking
too.
for Johnny Moore cards. Yeah,
Really? I did not know that.
yeah.
Instead they only got 4 Michael Jordans. Rough.
Well, I'm going to have to hit him up, see if he has any of these at the crib somewhere.
We should pull our money together and buy a box of 86. Should we do it? How much would that cost us? Like $40,000?
It's tax season. I have no money for that right now. I need some stocks to start booming.
All right, let's talk winning time really quick here in the last few minutes, guys. Episode 6 this week, right? Episode 6.
Yeah.
Winning time. We've moved on from the Jack McKinney injury. He's in the hospital.
We haven't moved on. It's
No,
still
I just mean-
it was like that night.
Yeah.
that the
I'm
episode
saying we
started.
haven't moved on from it. I'm saying the injury has happened. The bicycle accident has happened. He is in a coma. Paul Westhead takes over, and we're kind of going through all of that. What did you guys think of this week's episode, TJ? Anything jump out at you?
What jumped out? Like I said, going back to last week's episode, actually watching that bike accident was just like terrible to see.
Just so traumatizing.
And you got to wonder, like, you really think like how that changed the course of basketball. But the Lakers still went and won those 5 championships in that time period where he could have been the coach. So I love what ifs, and you kind of wonder what if he had stayed coach, would this have still happened? As Adam and I have talked, and you have talked, he definitely seemed to be the architect of that run and gun, that Showtime style. So I thought it was really interesting, though, with Jason Segel's portrayal of Coach Westhead. And isn't it weird that there's a Westhead and a Westfall? Like, I always get these
By
two
the way,
guys.
they're both named Paul.
Paul, yeah.
Paul, yeah.
Just very weird. He was a guy who seemed very uncomfortable.
Yes,
right.
yes.
And then you could see like he never really got. And by the way, we all know
don't know
what's real and not real. Yeah,
right.
we don't know what's real, what's not real. A lot of stuff have gotten changed for TV, but didn't seem like he ever got that respect from Dr. Buss. Like he didn't even know his name. He wouldn't really even acknowledge him when he walked in the rooms, So it is going to be interesting to see now going on. Obviously, we know what happens.
We know what happens
throughout the season, but I'm going to see how he's able to get that team to rally around him. He's going out there. He's making Shakespearean quotes that are leaving people baffled. He doesn't seem comfortable. He seems a little nervous, but he's a guy who seems like he does know basketball. But you can know a lot, right, as a teacher. But if you don't really have that ability to communicate to your students, that's going to cause problems. Obviously, it did, and we'll get to see what those problems were.
Yeah, I'm really curious because, Adam, I'm sure you read the same article that I do each week when they kind of break down what's real and what isn't. One of the big things that Paul Westhead was struggling with was what to do in the starting lineup because they were playing Denver that night and David Thompson. And obviously, David Thompson, an absolute beast, a scoring machine if you don't know much about him, but
he scored 73 in a game.
Yes.
Yeah, and Michael Jordan looked up to him.
Right? Third most all time, right? 73 in a game. So they were trying to figure out what to do with him defensively, whether they start Haywood or put Michael Cooper on him. Well, he starts Michael Cooper in the show, but in real life, the starting lineup didn't change at all. And so I'm just curious, like, why they kind of went with that. Like, what are they setting up here? It seemed like they might have been hinting at this might be the beginning of Spencer Haywood's drug problems. He went through, a terrible cocaine addiction in the 80s. Richard Pryor made an appearance in the episode, played by Mike Epps.
Yeah, trying to get Magic addicted to crack cocaine.
Yeah, and it was just like, whoa. So I think they might be kind of going in that direction, which is why they kind of made that tweak to history. What did you think of this episode, Adam?
Well, the biggest take that I took out of this episode was the Magic Johnson shoe negotiations. So every single shoe company, you have Converse, you have Adidas, and then all of a sudden you have Phil Knight come in with Nike, and he doesn't have enough money to give Magic, but he offers him stock options.
Yeah.
And at the time, Nike stock was, what did we say, like 18 cents
18
a share?
cents, Phil Knight said. Yeah, 18.
He offered him 100,000 shares.
He offered him 100,000 shares.
100,000 shares in options. So, I mean, Adam and I have toyed around in the options game, and it's like, if stock goes nuts,
Oh,
you
my
could
God.
really make a boatload of money. And yeah, like you said, they kind of hint that he lost out on $5 billion.
Yeah, he lost out on $5 billion. All's well that ends well with Magic. He's still going on yachts in Italy.
Yeah, he's still a billionaire.
and still owning the Dodgers and going to every single event and tweeting the most obvious tweets in the world on Twitter. So he's still enjoying his life, but he could have had an extra $5 billion if he started out with Nike. It wouldn't have been Michael Jordan who really upstarted that company.
Right.
It would have been Magic. And then who knows what would have happened with Michael. Maybe Michael signs with Adidas because he wants to be the guy at Adidas instead of Nike. Yeah. So there's a lot of what ifs with that. So
that's a
that
fun
was interesting.
what if. Yeah, that was a really fun what if.
And I also thought another takeaway that I got from this episode was that you could tell Magic Johnson, very outgoing, charismatic, fun guy, but you could see him starting to realize that people around him were starting to become leeches a little. And you could see that kind of getting the best of him. He had that girl that wasn't Cookie that, you could tell was like, doing maybe some backdoor deals.
And then her father too.
Yeah. So like, I think that was his first taste of, people are going to start to try to use me because I'm a professional athlete. And he probably was not used to that his whole life. I mean, he was a star his whole life, but when there's money involved, that's when things change. And so you could really tell that he was starting to get annoyed by that and not really understand how to address that. And so that's another takeaway I took from this episode.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Also, I wonder if it was true or not that Magic not showing up to the hospital, but instead that girl just shows up with flowers and was like, these are from us. And like everyone was kind of looking around like, us? Okay.
Also, like the whole deal with the Great Western bankers, you know, because they did have that relationship with the Lakers, and you kind of got to see how, you know, as we know from watching it, there was a loan that Dr. Buss was not aware of. It was going to go into default if he didn't pay it. He couldn't pay it, and he basically, just to say it, he kind of, how do I say, he kind of pulled it out and put it on the table and was like, here, boom, and you're going to do this, and you're going to be partners with the Lakers, because if you don't, you're not going to get the money anyway, because he assumed that the paperwork went through where he was going to give his wife the team. And as we find out mere seconds after he leaves that, his mother may be going through onset dementia or Alzheimer's. I'm not sure. Maybe I didn't really look at her history. Had been writing old checks. I won't say bad checks. I'll say old checks. She never sent the paperwork through. And now Jerry Buss is in a position where if these bankers, they call his bluff, he's going to lose this team because the paperwork to give the team to his wife didn't happen. So, you know, he's going through a period where he's losing his mind, because if they do decide that they don't want the deal, he's going to lose the team. And, you know, so that was just an interesting side plot to it.
And the thing is, there's knowing history, we know that doesn't happen. Yeah. So I'm just curious as to like how they get from point A to point B on this situation. We know the Forum becomes the Great Western Forum for a long time, so obviously they reach some sort of partnership. I'm just curious how they get there.
Well, I like the confidence that Jerry Buss had, where he negotiated the agreement where it would end, I think, in June or May. I think it was May, because he thought they were going to win the finals, and he's like, you guys will be begging to have business with the Lakers after we win the championship.
Yeah, and so, you know, obviously that ends up happening. So I'm curious, like I said, how they get there. Okay, guys, that's great. Well, let's wrap this up. Enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the opening weekend of the first round. We'll hit on it all and how the series are going next week. For Adam and TJ, it's Brockman. Peace out.
Later.
Peace.